everyone, welcome to Homeschool How To, where Kelly and I talk about all things homeschooling to help you along on your homeschooling journey. Between the two of us, we have 15 kids in our homes. As of now, I have 8 children.
And I have, right now, 7. We foster, so that varies from day to day, but right now we have 7.
With having that many children, we have a few tips to share with you. And today we're actually going to talk about homeschooling children with various needs. Whether that's cognitively, whether that's visually, whether that's auditorily, whether that's behavior-wise, attention deficit disorder. There's a whole range of categories that we homeschool parents can struggle with.
Yeah.
And the more children you have, the more likely that someone in your bunch is going to have something that you're going to have to deal with. So today we just wanted to give support to the moms who are out there. Whatever your child's needs are, you're probably going to have some children that just learn things differently or have some extra special needs. And then next time, we're going to talk to you about how we go about implementing brain training opportunities so that we can help the kids as best as we can. So, Kelly, I know you have a story or two in your crew. Do you want to share?
Yes, throughout our journey, we've had a gamut of needs. The one that sticks out the most probably would be our oldest child. We just adopted.
Yay!
So, yay! She just turned 18, and we adopted her in September. She came to us at 13, so she was...
As a foster.
Yeah, she came as a foster child at 13 and was diagnosed with severe intellectual disabilities.
Okay.
So her IEP, so anybody who doesn't know what an IEP is an individualized education plan. So I highly recommend, if you have any concerns, to get an individualized education plan. Now, in the homeschool community, there's a lot of diversity with that. And I will say not everybody will agree with me on that. My 13-year-old, we just got tested as well and are working on an IEP with her. And she's been diagnosed with dyslexia. And again, there's so much out there where you say, oh, dyslexia, she confuses her letters or she writes her letters backwards. It's not that. There's such an array of dyslexia. And when you get that IEP plan, it just gives you a direction for them. It's not going to solve all of your issues, but it's going to give you a direction. Getting that testing done was key. It really was key. So with my oldest, she went into a program where she takes life skills class because her intellectual disability made it so that she needed a life skills class. She needed something that would help her to cope with everyday living.
Kelly, can I just interrupt you for a second?
Yes.
And the reason is because I know Kelly's daughter very well, and you would never know by looking at her that she has any kind of impairment, academic impairment or cognitive impairment. She functions very well. And I know you've told me before that then becomes a challenge because sometimes people expect more of her because she seems normal. If you want to talk
and that's very hard as a parent to try and parent because she does look normal. She socially acts normal, but she's functioning at a 3rd or 4th grade education academic.
What did you try to do when you found out, when she was 13 or 14 and you found out? What did you try to do to help her? Did you know to instantly go to the school district, or were you trying to homeschool her?
No, when she came, she was in the public school.
Okay.
So we kept her in the public school for middle school. Then when she went to the high school, we did bring her home and we enrolled her in a charter school.
Okay.
And then I had my hands in what she was doing. When we pulled her out of the high school, I realized, yes, homeschooling's not. And the guilt of that, the mama guilt of saying, okay, you have 5 kids and you have 1 in charter school. I really had to struggle with, it's what's best for her. And that's okay.
When did you find out about the 13-year-old with dyslexia? When did you find out?
Just this year. And I'm still struggling with that. I'm like, why did it take 13 years for me to figure out? I always knew she struggled, but I always thought, oh, she's my middle child. And she didn't get the best of me, because you've got a child in between who excels and who is gifted, and so he comes along and he's excelling in everything, and he's getting a 4.0, and he's taking college courses at 10th grade, and so he's coming along, and then your next child's coming along and she's got dyslexia, and then that mom guilt comes back.
Forgetting what is behind and pressing
exactly.
on towards
Yes, exactly.
But the brain can change.
Yes, and that's what I'm excited to learn from you, is that brain training. And now that the testing's done and we've really pinpointed this is the issue, I'm really excited to changing that brain and figuring out.
Yes. So we've had a couple of our kids who ended up having a few special needs of their own, and my one son, who is a teenager now, I found out he was probably, I want to say maybe around 6 years old or something. So he was my 3rd child. So I've already had 2 children before him learn to read, and then he came along and it wasn't kind of going automatically for him.
I know.
Right?
Every child's different.
Right. And so I, did what any mom would do. I went and I got him an eye exam. He had 20/20 vision. I was like, okay, this is fine. I thought it was a behavioral thing. He's even saying to me, Mom, it looks like the words are jumping on the page. And I said, we just got you an eye exam. You have 20/20 vision. Cat, say the word. You did it yesterday. It's right here. It's cat. And he couldn't do it. And now when you talk about the mom guilt, I thought I was so hard on this child, and he literally couldn't do it. And I forget how I ended up finding out about developmental optometry, but it might have been actually at a homeschool convention. And I'm getting a nod from my husband. But yeah, it was at a homeschool convention, and there was a booth, and somebody started explaining it, and I thought, wait a second, maybe this is what he has. And so I took him to get tested. He's in the 1 percentile. The poor child, 20/20 vision. And this was the first indication I had that eyesight is different than vision. And so the best way that I can explain it is that when your eyes focus on one object, each eye has a separate image that goes into the brain and fuses in the brain. If one eye converges a little more or doesn't converge exactly the same on that object, the image in the brain can be fuzzy. And that was what was happening, which is different than testing that the child's eyesight can see a clear line from 20 feet away. It's not the same thing.
Okay.
I would encourage people, if something isn't going right in the beginning of your homeschooling and you're noticing something just isn't right, I thought this would be easier, or they're not picking it up as quickly, I would first and foremost get thee to a developmental optometrist. That is what they're called, and they do a whole functional exam on their vision. What they can do out there, I mean, it's amazing. Now, there's old school, just regular eye exercises. If you wanted to do things manually, there's exercises you can do on the computer. They can do in-office therapy. They can even do virtual reality therapy. I also learned that I think the statistic is like 1 in 11 students have a vision issue that goes undetected. So in my house or in your house, there's a very high likelihood that one of our students would. And so even if you only have a couple of children, it's something to be mindful of. If everything else isn't working, don't just get a regular, eyesight examination. Go and get that functional vision examination. But I will say you definitely can work to, when I say fix things, there's always progress, whether it's auditory, whether it's cognitive, whether it's visual. We're going to talk the next time about steps that you can take to help these kids as much as we can to progress, because what a lot of people don't know about me is I had gone to chiropractic school. I say in a previous life. It was before kids.
That is a previous life.
So I love the brain. I love how God designed our bodies, and the brain can change. We can train it just like you can train a muscle, and after a few months the brain picks things up. And the really exciting part is that when your brain gets something new, it doesn't revert and forget it. Once it has it, and then it can use it. So case in point, the teenager that I'm telling you about, it took a long time, but I just heard him read the other day, and I just said, thank you, God. Thank you, God, because what you read and what you're told is that when kids are behind by a certain age, if they're not reading by a certain age, the studies show that they're going to be behind, they're never going to catch up. But they can. And my son is proof that they can. His reading was so bad for so long, and I tried not to walk in discouragement, but it was very, very difficult. Having had gone through what I did with my first child who had extra needs, I have another one with a vision issue that I was able to catch early. And then our new little guy who we adopted, he has special needs, again, vision. I guess we keep getting hit with the visual side of things. We also want to talk about auditory processing disorder, because kids can have a combination of things. We are uniquely made, and our bodies and our brains are so complex that sometimes kids don't have just a vision issue or just an auditory issue. It can be a combination of things. It's sort of like something just isn't clicking. They go to read a word, they read a different word than the word that's there. Is that what they're hearing? Is that what they're seeing? What is it? And so I want to put forth that we can do brain training to help these kids first and foremost, before then we try to help them academically.
And no, you're not alone. There are so many moms walking this journey with you. There is support and there is hope, and God has made each and every one of these precious children individually and uniquely, and there's no cookie cut answer for any of them. But prayer is what's gonna lead you through. So
so don't forget to like our videos, because it helps to get the videos out to other moms who may be blessed by the content that we talk about. And subscribe and comment. We'd love to interact with you guys. So we'll see you next time.
God bless.